Software teams depend on open source packages more than ever, from places like NuGet, Maven, and PyPy. They make development fast and convenient, but most organizations don't actively control how those packages move through their system. Dependencies get added once and then forgotten. And pipelines quietly pull in updates from public registries, no review, no guardrails. And it only takes one surprise to break a build, delay a release, or expose a security flaw. Imagine your team adds a small utility library. It works perfectly until one of its hidden dependencies updates behind the scenes. Suddenly, the build breaks, tests fail, and nobody knows what's changed. These risks aren't rare, they're growing. But with a different approach, one that restores clarity and control, teams can finally get ahead of the problem. That's where CMPR comes in. Most teams don't have a real process for reviewing or approving the open source packages they install. Instead, they rely on scattered file shares, Git repos, Slack threads, or cloud buckets. And at first, this feels fast and flexible. Developers grab what they want and move on. But over time, that convenience starts to break down. Developers waste time reinventing utilities, hunting for packages, and resolving version conflicts that should have never existed. And as that friction grows, security weakens. Vulnerable packages slip in unnoticed, and zero-day issues sit unpatched simply because no one knows where they're being used. And without visibility, governance erodes. Anyone can add any package, ownership becomes unclear, and policies drift. And once governance breaks down, auditability follows. Traceability becomes unreliable, license controls become inconsistent, and SBOMs stop reflecting what's actually in production. So as more teams and environments and clouds are added, the system stops scaling. Tool sprawls grow, practices fragment, and sharing becomes fragile and slow. As dependencies counts rise, complexity doesn't just increase, it compounds. Here's how this usually plays out in real life. A developer pulls in a small library from NuGet.org to solve a simple problem. It works until one of its transitive dependencies publishes an update overnight. The CI pipeline grabs it automatically. Now the build is read. Tests are failing, no one can see the root cause, and nothing about the process has changed, so it'll happen again. And the problem is only getting worse. Modern applications are made up of roughly 90% external code, and a single package can bring in dozens of hidden dependencies changing constantly. Supply chain attacks have surged 700% since 2020, and 94% of risk hide in transitive dependencies. Developers now spend 30 to 35% of their time on maintenance, and 25% of that is just trying to fix open source issues. Remember the 2024 NPM outage? Well, builds broke across the world for hours. Dependencies were supposed to save time, but without structure, they become a source of risk, friction, and burnout. And this isn't a tooling problem, it's a visibility, ownership, and scale problem. The issue is structural, which means it's solvable. Centrally Managed Package Repositories, or CMPR for short, is not a tool. It's a discipline. It adds structure, policy, and governance to the way your organization consumes open source packages. And with CMPR, your organization centralizes approved packages, enforces security, licensing, and versioning policies, gains visibility into what's used and why, and gives developers stable and predictable workflows. Let's revisit that earlier example. A developer pulls in the same library, but instead of reaching into NuGet.org, they install it from your approved internal registry. Behind the scenes, CMPR has already scanned the library and all its transitive dependencies. Security checks, license checks, quality checks. Risky versions filtered out before anyone ever touches them. Later, when a transitive dependency updates, CMPR steps in. The update is staged, not auto-trusted. Policies are applied, unsafe updates are blocked, approved updates become the new standard version, and for developers, nothing breaks, no late-night debugging, no surprise failures, just predictable, reliable builds. CMPR is a maturity journey across 5 pillars: centralization, governance, curation, distribution, and scalability. Start small with critical packages, then expand at your pace. Modern development demands modern package management, and fragmented processes and scattered tooling can't keep up anymore. CMPR gives you a scalable path to managing the code you don't write but depend on just as much as the code you do. Because without CMPR, unmanaging dependencies quietly threatens the security, reliability, and quality of your software.